Women will have nearly over 300 periods in their life, running up to 450. Today we are going to be covering the pelvic floor and what is a period, how do they interact. Your period is shedding the lining of the uterus called endometrium. And when your body realizes you're not pregnant, that's where your hormones drop and the shedding of that uterus begins. Your body then removes that tissue out through the cervix, where you'll see blood. So people just think period is just bleeding, and it's technically, bleeding is a form of it. But what else are we missing? Inflammation and hormones. They are like more important. So your estrogen and progesterone start dropping very fast. What happens with that? Mood swings. So the first thing that happens is there's a hormone change. Your estrogen and progesterone drop dramatically, just shoot straight down. That then leads to mood changes, cramping, low energy, and a sensitivity to pain. It isn't like, when we come to a period, people believe that it's very dramatic, but these symptoms aren't dramatic. It's a hormonal inflammation change within the body. So the actual shedding of the uterus, you would be expected to just lose about 30 to 80 mils, this is all, of blood. If you're having more, potentially get yourself to a GP. Now, when we have proglandins and inflammation, with that we have a lot of pain and cramps. So the womb itself starts contracting, the muscles around the area becomes more tense, we have an increased sensitivity to pain. The higher the proglandins, the higher the pain, the worse the headaches. What's normal is 3 to 7 days is a normal bleed, mild to moderate cramps, stable flow, some fatigue, mood shifts, and some small clotting. So pea-sized grapes. Your cycle isn't random, it's actually feedback. So how can you support yourself during this? Strength training 2 to 3 times a week, Pilates in form of mat, reformers once or twice a week, omega-3s, sleeping 7 to 9 hours. You may notice that you might need a little more than a man. That's just a recent study that came out last year. And walking is such an underrated tool. Get yourself out, and alongside that, reduce your chronic load stress. So the mental load. As a bit of a recap, the period can last from 1 to 5 days and can be up to 7 days for some people. The menstrual cycle can last between 21 and 35 days, which is a range. They used to believe it was one number, but now they've adjusted it. The menstrual cycle in general discusses where that time of period between 1 and 5 days, where the estrogen and progesterone start dipping down and your body starts experiencing cramping and bleed. Now, when we look at the graph on the right, you'll notice that the estrogen and progesterone, they both dip down on day 1. The next big question is, how does the pelvic floor affect your period, and how does your period affect your pelvic floor? Because we all seem to think it's different. After your period, ovulation is when you're going to feel the best, sharpest. Now, with the pelvic floor, you're looking at a hammock of different types of muscles. They coordinate and control within the core, within your belly. They also work with the lower legs. So if the lower legs aren't working with the core, there's going to be a dysfunction happening. So it's not just a pelvic floor, we're also looking at the muscles around. During the menstrual cycle, your muscles are really tired and they're contracting. During the follicular phase, that's when it starts changing slightly. And then your ovulation phase is when your muscle tone is at its optimal. Looking at the body, we also need to incorporate the ribs. The ribs, the core, the way the pelvic is sitting, your quads and your hamstrings. Now, after a baby, you may have a thing called darsus recti, where the linea alba has separated just slightly. This is why it's so important that we have so much for watching, proper usage of our glutes, hamstrings, quads, and the diaphragmatic breathing. If the diaphragmatic breathing isn't there, it's really hard to rehab.